Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to review the DC 100-page comic giant, World's Greatest Superheroes Holiday Special. And for all of those people who are saying, please don't stop reviewing DC altogether, as I said in my video, I am going to stop reviewing all of their new titles that are coming out monthly. But this is a compilation that usually features one new story, which isn't necessarily in canon or continuity, and then it features a collection of some great, sometimes some really great stories from the past of DC, and that's certainly the case here. And so I wanted to talk about this one. It also kicks off something I'm going to do on my channel, which is to feature some great Christmas stories in comic books. And I have a few here. I'll get to this eventually. I love this one, Superman and Santa Claus from DC Comics Presents. And I even have my Batman Noel over here, which is a classic I'll talk about, which is quite good. And we'll do a video on that later at some point in December here. But kicking things off with this one, because it's in the stores now and you can go buy it. We do start out with the new story is a new Flash story. And it's by Scott Lobdell, and it's a decent story. It's good enough, you know, it's fine. It's a Christmas Eve story, nice little story. We have Flash at the orphanage again. We've seen him do that a number of times. It's something that's pretty canon for the character, and you know, it's a fine story for a Christmas issue. It's maybe a little contrived, a little rushed in terms of the villain and whatnot, but it's a nice little feel-good story. So nice start. But then you get the real meat of the story. This is just an amazing Christmas story. It came from 1991. It's by the great Dan Jurgens, and this is a wonderful era in the Superman mythos for myself, and you know, his comic runs and whatnot. One of them anyway. And I have to thank the fan man Chris Moe for first turning me on to this, because I missed it somehow in the day, or wasn't collecting right at that point or something like that. I don't know. But it truly is a great story. It's called Metropolis Mailbag. And the premise of it is that each year for Christmas time, Superman goes back into the post office and finally answers some of the many letters that come to him each year. And the post office just keeps them there. And they're asking for Christmas wishes or whatever. And he kind of puts this off a little bit. He doesn't really like to do it because a lot of the letters are just very shallow, asking him for business deals or asking him, you know, to come do this or that with him to make money or something like that. And, you know, so that's one reason he doesn't enjoy it so much. But he brings Lois Lane with him. They are engaged at this point, and I love that art. That's just gorgeous art. So wonderful, so perfect. And they do stumble across, of course, some letters that are very touching. And one of them is a woman who is just discovered that her sister had survived Auschwitz as well. And her sister is still alive over in Germany, but this woman doesn't have the means to travel there. Her sister is probably about to die, so you have a wonderful touching story, Superman reuniting the two. He is asked by a little boy to come save his father, who is dying of cancer, and of course, you know, he has to go and explain, you know, I won't give you the whole of the story away, but then there's something about a heart transplant, and the end is a very touching little moment that features Professor Hamilton, Emil Hamilton, and as Santa Claus, and I like the ending. We've got Superman. Well, I won't give away the whole thing. You have to check it out. It's an extremely touching story. It's one of the greatest Superman Christmas stories out there. I truly do believe that. So I do recommend this. The whole book's worth it just for this story. There's other great stuff in this book that I'm going to show you, but this story is just such a classic. Absolutely true to Superman. And it's an example for these idiots who say, oh, Superman's so hard to write because he's too good, he's too powerful. Malarkey. Come on, you're just being lazy and you don't know the character that well. This is a story where you got a Superman a little discouraged at first because all the things that people tend to ask him for, but then he himself is heartened by some of the genuine requests, and he himself is able to capture some more of that Christmas spirit by doing some of these wonderful things for people. And he comes up against things that he can't do. You know, he can't stop cancer from killing somebody. You know, he's not a god as much as people try to pretend he is. So that's a great story, and but in the end, he does all of the little things that he can do, and in the way the story is told, there are things that any of us could do in a certain way. We can't do them in the certain fashion that Superman does, because he's Superman, of course, but it's a heartening story for anybody to read who wants to, you know, catch that Christmas spirit and go out and make a difference. So definitely recommend that. It's just a beautiful story. And then right after that, I love that this collection follows that story up with a later story by the great Joe Kelly, who of course gave us the wonderful What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, made into the wonderful animated film Superman vs. the Elite. And he's writing this story, which is the same premise, the Metropolis mailbag idea, but Superman, now Clark Kent, is helping Kara, helping young Supergirl into this idea. He's trying to get her used to the idea of Christmas and introduce it to her. And he is trying to share that idea with her about going out and helping people. And she really kind of learns the same lesson, and she grabs that Christmas spirit and learns the goodness of helping people with the little tasks, not necessarily the solving them from a big, or saving them from a big monster or something like that. Doing the things that superheroes usually do, the little things that she can do for people. Again, as readers, that gives us the lesson that, we can do these little things too. I mean, the big things that superheroes save us from and accomplish are supposed to be metaphors for the things we can do in our everyday life with our own unique powers and privileges or situations, things we're gifted to do, in ways that no one else can. And this is a way just to speak directly to that. So I really like that. Another great story, top notch. Following that up, again, not trying to give away too much of it. Following that up, we have a relatively recent story. This is a Tom King story before Tom King went crazy with Batman, and he was still writing decent stories. And he wrote this wonderful little story. I think this was in the Batman Annual. No, this was in the Batman Annual, not the DC Rebirth, but it's still the same time period, a couple of years ago, in which we reintroduce Ace the Bat Hound. And it's a really great way it does it. I love it. Ace is a dog who has been mistreated and is has all these horrible behavior issues, incredibly vicious, and he's rescued. He's like the last dog standing in this joke by the Joker that the Joker's left for him. And Alfred takes it upon himself to take in Ace the Hound and rehabilitate him and give him as a gift to Bruce. And I love it. And we even see him with his little cowl on, his little Ace the Bat Hound cowl at the end. So again, I won't tell you too much more or show you too much more art about that one, because it's a nice little way that takes place. So I definitely recommend that. This one is a Batwoman story, and this is a great Batwoman story. For me, in comics, it's difficult to find well-written Batwoman stories, because they either approach the character in a way that just misses the mark for somebody in the Batman family, or they approach the character in a way in which they just want to sort of preach the social agenda of her being a lesbian. They reduce her to that, which is unfair to her character. But this one is one that really nails it really well, and I love the art too. So this is a writer, Kay Perkins, artist Paolo Pantalina, and I believe this one is from the DC Rebirth. Kane, of course, is Jewish, and she is celebrating Hanukkah. And at this point in the Rebirth storyline with Detective Comics, which I really enjoyed what they were doing with that, the relationship is strained a bit between her and her father, quite a bit, really. And she is going to remember a tradition that she had with her father on Hanukkah. And something happens. She's called in to help some people to help somebody who's a hacker and is able to blow the whistle on this company and all of this kind of thing. And I won't tell you the gist of the story there, because it's really nice the way it ends up. And I love the symmetry on the ending, from the beginning to what she's trying to do and to the ending. That's really great too. But I will show you one of the things that the art does quite well is this is a story about identity. And I think that's something you kind of have to know where Kate Kane is at this point in her storyline. Who is she? She's denying that she's Batwoman here, and this guy knows that she is, and she's denying that she is that. And somebody shoots at her, and she hits the ground. But I love the way the art. She's in an overcoat that looks like a cape, in the boots, and her hair flies over her face, so they can't see that. But then the snow around her flashes out like a bat, or like a bat-colored cape. And the art is just gorgeous too. I love that art. And you see different other little elements too. Well, in the end, I guess I'll show you this because I'll try and show you sort of a guarded way, but we see her and then the reflection there too. So it's kind of the idea of who is she now? Who is she now that she's being Batwoman, and her relationship strained with her family, with the things that's going on in Gotham. So I like the way the story carries that theme and it ends it really well. So I recommend that story as well. The next one comes from 2014, I believe, and this is a Harley Quinn holiday special. So this was still in the New 52, and this is by Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Carter, and the art is really what makes this story. Darwin Cook is the art, so one of the last things he did before he was tragically taken from us, and this is just totally worth reading for the art, because I love Darwin Cook's art. The story is well done. The story is extremely well told. I don't like what this new 52 did to Harley Quinn, though. I don't like this iteration of Harley Quinn. I feel like it's DC trying to have an answer to Squirrel Girl in a lot of ways, because she's just OMG so random, and she lives with some circus sideshow people and in a building that she owns, and she has a talking beaver, and again, just the OMG so random nonsense. It's well done, it's a well-told story, but I don't like that. I feel like that is a reduction of her character. It's an unfair treatment of her character. She's so much more than this kind of thing. But anyway, that's just me on that. But the art is great, and I love that Darren Cook even slips in the classic Harley Quinn costume there, which is quite nice, you know, in terms of her dressing up for the snow or whatever. So that's a fun little story to at least look at the art. And then we end the compilation here with another tale that was in the DC Rebirth Holiday Special. And this features our Green Lanterns, the new Green Lanterns at the time, who was Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. And Jessica Cruz is Catholic, and she is inviting Simon Baz over to celebrate the Epiphany, celebrate King's Day. And the Epiphany, of course, is a day in December when the Catholic Church celebrates the three kings' visit to the Christ child. So, being Catholic myself, I love to see that recognized, and I love the way this story is written, because it's about the day that recognizes the three kings, and you have these three aliens who come to Earth, and they're trying to judge Earth, and they test Simon and Jessica in these really cool ways, and I'll let you see that for yourself. And in the end, one of the traditional dishes that Jessica and her sister were making for them all is a king's ring, which is a tamale dish there. In most places in the United States, they'll have king's cake, a king cake, and the idea is that you hide a little statue of the Christ child within either the king's ring or the king's cake or whatever, and the idea is that represents hope. So whoever gets the piece with it in there or whatever. But king's ring, so Green Lantern ring, we three kings, three aliens coming to visit. A testing, a trials, a gifts are given. So the story has a lot of cool little elements there to it. I won't give you the all ins and outs of it, but I do recommend that as well. So as I said, this has a collection of a lot of great classic and recent classic DC superhero stories, all the way up through when DC Rebirth was still really firing on all cylinders before it kind of fell apart, and as I outlined in my previous videos. So I do recommend this. It still is stores now. It came out, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but as the deal with all of these 100-page comic giants, there's still thick stacks of them in the stores that are there for you to buy. So I definitely recommend this. It's a fun little trip down memory lane, but especially that Superman story. That is just, oh man, that's powerful. I love that as a Superman fan, but a lot of good stuff here. So I recommend that. I am going to break into some other, like as I said, holiday comic book stories, not just from DC, but some other classic stories as well. We'll get to those very shortly throughout December. Please do click that thumbs up on the video. I'd like to thank everyone who subscribes. Links to the Patreon is in the description. I want to thank all my patrons. Stay tuned for our scheduled live streams, more reviews like this, and videos on archetypes, philosophy, and whatnot. But until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.